Hi guys, I'm Phil Town. I'm the founder of Rule 1 Investing, and today I want to talk to you guys about a concept that's incredibly important if you want to achieve anything in life. And that's the concept of making a promise, not a goal. A goal is something you're trying to do. Because you're trying to do it, you haven't promised you're going to do it. So if you tell somebody like, okay, I'm going to try to meet you for dinner tonight at 6:30, they understand that's a goal and you might be there. But it's not a promise that you'll be there. They wouldn't be shocked about how you screwed them over if you didn't show up for dinner, okay? And on the other hand, if you tell your wife, honey, I'll be home at 6:30 tonight for dinner, and she has dinner on the table for you at 6:30 and you don't show up till 9 and you didn't call, I'm telling you, you're in trouble because that was a promise, okay? So a promise is a thing about your character. It's about a value set. So here's the thing. I'm going to explain the difference between a promise and a goal. One simple story right here. A goal goes like this. Imagine if I go over to Melissa, my wife, and I say, this is before we get married, and I say, honey, I get down on my knees and I say, I want you to marry me. I want to live with you the rest of my life. I love you more than anything. And it's my goal to never sleep with anybody else the rest of my life. That's my goal. That's not what she was looking for, right? She was looking for a promise, and I'd be looking for a promise from her the same way, right? We're promising ourselves we're going to be together exclusively the rest of our lives. And if that's a goal, it doesn't remotely come close to the kind of important relationship that she's looking to have with somebody. So a promise is categorically different than a goal, you guys. So what do we do to kind of make it a very, very powerful thing in our lives? The first thing is a promise is something where you've essentially burned the ships. That's one really great way to look at it. You've burned the ships. You remember that whole story about that Spanish group that sailed into Mexico back in the late 1400s or something? They didn't think anybody was there. They just thought it was full of gold. 300 guys get off the boat, dressed in their armor, and they charge off into Mexico, and they discover there's about 10 million Aztecs there that don't exactly like them being around. And they realize they're going to die. So they start to head back to the boats. And what I think it's Cortez does is he says, guys, better look over that hill right there. You see that smoke? That's the ships burning right there. So yeah, you can kill me now because I just burned the ships, but then you won't have a war leader. My advice to you is you will go in and follow me, and we're going to win this war, or we're going to die here trying, because there's no other choice. All right? That's a promise. So winning wasn't a goal. It was must do or die. Now, when I first started out, what my teacher suggested to me, and what I'm going to suggest to you, is that you put together a promise card. And we actually do this for you at the workshop. When you come to the workshop, we're going to build a promise card. We're going to help you create that promise about where you're going to be. What I did was I put it on a promise card that I promised myself by a certain date, 5 years out, I would make over $1 million. And this is 30 years ago. So that's like promising I'm going to make $2 million in today's dollars. I actually ended up with 1.45 million, which would be about $3 million in today's dollars. But I ended up with it almost to the month, 5 years away. So this promise card thing is very, very important. And I tell you, we're going to have a good time working out what that promise can be for you. So remember, making promises to yourself is a key to achieving any goal in life. I've had some great mentors, and we're going to talk about it at the workshop. But man, making a promise is beyond critical when it comes to financial goals. Now, if you haven't seen my other videos about how to take control of your finances, I want you to take a look at them. So also, listen, I'd love to hear from you guys. So do a little thing right here. Give me a comment on what one thing are you going to promise to yourself today, like a real promise. And a real promise means I'm going to do something very explicit that's measurable. I'm going to do it in a very explicit amount of time that's measurable. And I'm going to do it come hell or high water. So leave a comment below there, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. I really appreciate you watching. Now go play. Now, if you enjoyed the video, you guys, and you thought it was valuable in teaching you more about ruling your financial future, then what I want you to do, if you will, is subscribe to my channel here and share this video with your friends. That'd be awesome. Or anybody else who might benefit from this information. So that'll really help us spread this revolution of investing.